Just what is transactional analysis?
Transactional analysis is a theoretical structure. They used to talk about it being truth. Theory is never is.
Yeah.
It's a theoretical structure that is very useful in lots of different ways. And you mentioned parent, adult, child, script, games. It gets more complicated than that, of course.
Everything does.
There's the old story of when Eric Berne, the founder, was on an aeroplane and talking to someone who was an astronomer. And what do you do? Oh, I'm founder of transactional analysis. And he said, oh, yes, parent, adult, and child. And I'm okay, you're okay. And Eric said, yes, sort of like you, twinkle, twinkle, little star. In other words, it is more profound.
Yeah.
It's used not just in psychotherapy. There are educators who use it in the classroom to teach children, as you were suggesting. There's a whole school of ODs, business managers, community organizers whose structure is based on TA theory. It's particularly popular in Australia, New Zealand, and all of Europe. They have huge conferences.
Yeah. How did you get into transactional analysis?
Well, in a few minutes,
go ahead.
we're going to be watching you work. And what were your goals as you started that interview or before that interview?
My goals are always to find out what the client wants and see where the client is going to go. In addition to that, of course, because it's a teaching tool, I wanted to demonstrate redecision. I wanted to find an early scene. And that's not usually a goal.
So you were looking for an
I was looking for an early scene.
but you
and
don't
looking to demonstrate redecision. I don't go into therapy in general planning to demonstrate anything.
Yeah.
The only thing I know is in a group I won't do the same thing twice. So if somebody talks to their mother, the next person will do something different just because it's so boring. If you have a group of 6
Everybody's
people
talking to
talking to
their
mother, you know, blah, blah. And also I use a lot of humor, which I'm not sure I did in it wasn't a very humorous thing.
That wasn't.
So you're going to find out what the client wants, and then do you do a structural analysis about the parent, adult, child? No?
Never.
Never, huh?
Other TA therapists too.
Do you do
I'm much more interested in their experiencing and feeling and thinking.
Is there an assessment then? You find out what the client wants, and then give it to them, or is it?
Then set up find out what blocks them having what they want.
So that would be your
So that
assessment.
would be the assessment, discover the blocks?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And then find how that block got started. Not really, I'm never looking for the very first scene, but a scene that'll demonstrate the block. And then find a way to get around it. The way of getting around it might be to experience it, and possibly just simply to congratulate themselves for living through that time. Sometimes it's to realize, hey, mother had a point. I was just in my growing up stuff. Sometimes it's to do the scene differently. For instance, what I'd like to have done with this woman, but she wasn't ready for it, was to say, hey, you all, do your thing. I'm going outside and play. And that often works. She wasn't ready for that, and I really don't think I push clients.
So we'll watch you move through like 4 steps, if I could, maybe.
Sometimes.
Something like finding out what the client wants.
Yeah. And if it's doable, logical, legal.
Okay, and then and then you discover what blocks them from getting it.
Yeah.
You go back to the etiology of where this came about.
Yes, or a scene that will demonstrate it.
And then how do you get around it?
And then the person doing or thinking or feeling something quite different within the scene from the way it had been when they were little.
So there's a reenactment then.
Reenactment, and a change.
And a
The person
positive
must change, not the parent.